Swanson. Kyle, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for having us. Come on. Just wrapping up our trip, 3 days. And the big takeaway here is I never travel any place just to see one person. So when you sales guys are out there traveling, you need to then try and find 1 or 2 or 3 other people to see. The commodity manager of Electrolux wanted me to text her. That was her preferred method of contact. She was getting 200 emails a day. She said, just text me. This was 5 years ago. I'm like, okay. Literally could get her every time.
What's up, guys? Kyle Milan here with Manufacturing Tribe TV. Today we're at MD&M Minneapolis show.
You're always going to remember that person that was different than everybody else. So let's talk standing out and being unique.
We're back with another episode. We've increased some of our production value, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. Brett's got a question. How segmented do you make the emails every 2 to 4 weeks? Are you sending to the broad group of contacts, or do you customize? I think that you could do it both ways, but I think in general, everybody needs to see your content. Everybody needs to see something that you're creating and something that you can provide value to.
You can tell a story a whole lot faster in a 3-minute video than you can in a 14-page article or 10 2-page articles.
Everything's about brand awareness and content right now, and it will continue to be that. So focus on producing some sort of content, and if you're selling B2B, which I'm assuming most people here are, focus on LinkedIn.
Number one, we do not charge for this stuff. I put all of my content out there for free. Send it to somebody that you feel may get some value out of it, and also engage. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. We'll get to all of the comments after the break. Those comments mean the world to us because it shows that you guys care. So don't just sit there and watch, but please engage and hit those thumbs on LinkedIn. What is up, guys? I'm Kyle Milan. It is Monday. And for those of you that follow us closely, you know that we've changed things up a little bit on the show for Mondays. We're doing Q&A now because we get all these questions and we don't want to bring them back into the normal live stream. So now on Mondays, what we're doing is if you guys have questions, we go through the comments on the YouTube videos, we go through the comments on the posts, on the live posts, and we pull out questions that we didn't get to or that the stream cut off and they were asked after the fact. But also what would help us organize it, if you guys can email your questions over to askkyle@mfgtribe.com. We will go through those and pull out questions each week for the show. So the way that the new format works, I'm hoping that this week StreamYard, which is the third-party software we use to stream this stuff, gets their bugs out of the system. They were having an issue last week for the last 2 weeks with LinkedIn. Comments weren't coming through, so I had to read them off the phone. We'll do that again if we have to, but if you guys can, that are coming through LinkedIn, can you put a comment just saying, hi, where are you coming from, whatever. Let's see if we can see it to test it out. There is about a 40-second delay from when I say this and when you hear it. So if we don't respond right away, that is why. So normally what we're going to be doing is pulling in questions, but as we go through these questions, these 3 questions that we picked that have come through over the last week, if you guys have questions in the comment section, we will go through those. Last week when we did this, we went for, I think it was like 45 minutes or so because questions kept on rolling in. So we'll answer any questions that you guys have. Shoot them in the comment section, whether it has to do with industrial marketing, technical sales, small business, personal development, personal growth, whatever it is. Comment them in. We appreciate everybody joining us from YouTube and from LinkedIn. We appreciate the love that we've been getting the last few weeks on these streams. So without further ado, Nick is going to bring in and show up the first question. Now this, I haven't seen these yet. So as most things, I am not prepared. Just like we do all of our lives, we're not prepared. So first question that came through: my company and leadership seem very resistant to change as far as embracing modern marketing tools like video content and social media presence. What can I do to help convince them that these things are necessary? So it's kind of like proof is in the pudding, right? And so much of the industrial and manufacturing sector is always so far behind. It's like 3 to 4 or 5 years behind of, let's say, the rest of the B2B world when it comes to marketing tactics. And it's difficult. Like you gotta first think about it from the standpoint of the owner's shoes. And so the owner has been doing something that worked for let's say the last 20 years. And regardless if that stopped working 5 years ago, they're still in that tried and true method of like, this is just what has worked, and they're resistant to change. What's crazy about this industry is that they will jump on any bandwagon to bring in any new automation technology, anything to increase efficiencies like that. Like as soon as something new comes out, they'll jump on it, but marketing, they're slow to it. So you have to go into it understanding like who you're talking to. The best way to do it is to be able to ideally test it or put something in front of their face to prove that what path you want to go down or what path you're thinking about going down actually will work. So it could be something like coming to MFG Tribe, looking at our content, looking at the things that we say is working, because we only work with companies like yours in industrial and manufacturing. And this is what's working at scale across all of our customers. This is why we do it. But then even if that's not going to work, even if you're not like, hey, this guy or this company or these people are saying these things, and the upper management ownership is like, no, man, we tried that. It doesn't work, whatever. You got to try and just do it and show them the results of it. And it could be something as, hey, getting them to agree to, let's try this for the next 6 months. Like, let's change up our scope for the next 6 months and really see what type of results we can get with it. And if it works, then great, we'll keep doing it. If it doesn't work, then sorry, we'll scratch it, but at least we're doing something. I mean, the strategy is really simple for industrial manufacturing companies. It just depends on like what specific thing. Do you have a product or a service, and then that dictates which path you go deeper down. But overall, the strategy is pretty simple, at least from our standpoint, because it's all that we do. So we've got it down to a science. But you have to try and convince them. First, understand they are a older generation that's been doing things that worked. They're resistant to change. So try and put content like this in front of them and say, like, these people or other people in this space that are creating content saying, like, you got to start doing this more. It's not just me. I feel like we're probably the loudest, but there's other people in the space that are creating content. Put it in front of them and say, look, there's a couple people that are saying this. Let's give it a try. Or just try something yourself. Like, as whether you're in marketing or sales, you could literally just like, LinkedIn is extremely important to you guys, right? It's extremely important to build brand. It's extremely important to build top of funnel awareness and bring new people into it. If you are doing it correctly, go to my YouTube channel, look at all the content we have about LinkedIn and how to execute, and learn how to do it, and then start executing on it. And then go to him and be like, look, like, I've been doing this for the last 90 days and it's working, but we need to do it at scale, or we need other people to do this too. That's really the only way to get them bought in, and try and change I would call their traditional way of marketing, and pushing sales into something that's more new age. We got a comment from Brian Swanson. Hi, Kyle. This is my first time joining and viewing any of your content. Looking forward to what you're awesome, Brian, dude. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for joining. We appreciate you, man. All right, next question. I feel like was that suffice to answer, Nick? Was that good enough? Yeah. Nick gave me a thumbs up. So I'm a sales engineer and I'm struggling to get on the same page with our internal marketing person. How can we work together to reach our common company goals? This is the classic sales versus marketing. Who does more? Marketing people think that salespeople are just trying to close deals. Salespeople think that marketing people just make stuff look pretty. And that's it. So the first thing you need to do is you got to sit down and be like, look, we're trying to go after the same thing, right? We have to work together. Marketing can do a lot of things that make the salesperson's job easier. And at the same time, sales can do a lot of things to make the marketing person's jobs easier. So if you understand and you can have a meeting to say, look, we're trying to do the same thing, right? We're trying to grow the business. We're trying to grow the amount of leads. We're trying to increase revenue, all that stuff. How do we strategically go about doing it? And what do you need from me to support it? So things that salespeople can do to help marketing, we'll start there. Salespeople talking to marketing about what support things do you need, and giving them insights into who you're trying to go after, right? Maybe marketing is just doing a spray and pray type of approach. And if you can give some accounts and do more of a strategic account-based marketing approach and help them understand who you're trying to go after, what successes have you seen in the past? What tools do you need? Is there something where you could be like, hey, if you guys can just bring these people into the top of a funnel by doing this tactic, I'll take it from there. Or when I was in this meeting, these people keep asking these same questions. I would like some piece of marketing content to be able to answer those questions or to be able to send them. You have to communicate. Like, that's what it is at the end of the day. If you don't communicate with your internal team, and you guys look across the aisle and think that you're just each side is out to get the other person or throw them under the bus, that's not going to work. Okay. So you have to work together because you can make your jobs easier. So salespeople have to communicate, what are you seeing on the ground and what do you need to relay back to the marketing department, whether it's a department of 1 or a department of 20. What are you relaying back? What hurdles are you trying to overcome? What common questions are you getting? What common things are you seeing when you go into companies that the potential customer is telling you, like, oh, your competitor, I just had a competitor in, they were talking about this, what have you guys done to solve those problems, or things like that. And if you don't have the tools at your disposal to be able to answer those questions, then see if marketing can create something for you. See if it's, whether it's a playbook, whether it's a brochure, whether it's a line card, some type of piece of collateral for that. On the flip side of it, marketing people need to understand you don't know everything. Okay. You know what you know, but unless you're boots on the ground going through it on a daily basis and having those conversations with the prospects, you don't know everything. So you have to be humble and work with the salespeople and ask them the questions. If they're not willing to come to you with the questions, go to them with questions and say, what's the top 3 complaints that you get from prospects about the solution that you're trying to solve? Or what are the common things that you're seeing? Are there any themes that are out there that you guys are coming up against? And what can I do to help support you guys? And if you go into it from that standpoint, then it's going to be a worthwhile conversation. You guys can work together. But you have to understand, like, marketing can bring so many opportunities in for these salespeople to just, set them up and knock them down. And salespeople, if you got the right tools and if you're working with marketing and telling them what you need, then they will bring higher quality leads and opportunities into your pipeline. And then you can work those leads and see if you can get a customer out of it. But that's really where it starts. You guys have to communicate. Let's see what else we got. Nick says 1 minute. He's putting it in. All right, perfect. Let's see it. Next question. And guys, feel free, like I said, leave comments if you guys have other questions. We're going to cover these 3 and we'll see where the conversation goes. So my company is thinking about transitioning from internal marketing to hiring a small firm. What kind of real expectations should we have for their performance? Real expectations for their performance. So you have to go into it knowing that it's going to be expensive to get anything of significance, right? So like the phrase, it's too good to be true, it still rings true, right? If somebody's like, pay me $2,000 a month, my agency is going to blow the roof off your place, that's not true. It's not going to work. It's going to be expensive. Now, compared to hiring a whole team that can do something that marketing agency can do, it is way cheaper, right? So paying an agency $150,000 a year to do all of your marketing and handle all of your stuff is cheaper than the 4 to 8 people that you would need to hire and pay and manage and all that stuff to do the things that they can do. So you have to go into it knowing, like, it's going to be expensive. You also have to understand, like, depending on which agency you can go with, your expectations could be drastically different. So if you go with somebody that is a B2B agency that doesn't really focus on your niche, but they've worked in it, your expectations of how quick they would be able to produce results would be less than going with a niche agency. So somebody like MFG Tribe, we only work with industrial. We know that depending on what it is, service or product that you sell, if you're going after the personas of engineers, operations, purchasing type people, we have that down to a science and we know exactly how to attack it, and we can attack it within the first 30 days. Other agencies have to go through that learning period. Most agencies do like 90 days because we want to understand your buyer persona and do all these fluffy marketing exercises to be able to strategically attack it and produce those results. So the speed at which you get results is based on and dependent on the experience and the speed at which that agency works. We work extremely quick because I spent too much time in manufacturing and beat into my head that dollars are being wasted every single second. So we move quick. Some agencies in our space don't move as fast, but they still produce good results. So you kind of got to go into it knowing, like, if that's their niche, beat them up on that upfront and be like, what am I going to see in the first 60 days? What are you guys going to do? And understand, like, they're not going to come in and change your world. Now, could something great happen in the first 60 days? Yeah. But if anybody says like, I'm going to blow your roof off in 60 days, it's not going to happen, especially if you're on the services side of things. Like you guys know that the life cycle of how long it takes to get a deal, it could be 6 months to 6 years. You know, it could be 12 to 18 months from the first point of contact that you have with the potential customer into when you close them. That's just the nature of the beast. So the goal is to have as many of those conversations start as fast as possible. And that's the goal of it should be the goal of the agency. That should be your goal, is like, if you know for a fact that it's going to take 12 months before you can close this deal, I want as many people to start today and tomorrow and start that timer going versus waiting 6 months, 4 months to get those opportunities in. So it's just like, how fast can we start that timer? We move quick at MFG Tribe because I know that, and because this is our specialty and our niche. But I would say, even if you don't go after an agency like ours and you go with one of our competitors in the space, if they only focus on industrial, if they only focus on manufacturing, or a significant amount of their time is spent serving those industries, then I would say you need to be looking for some sort of output within the first 30 days, and you need to be looking at some sort of performance results within the first 60, as long as they're having regular conversations with you, whether it's monthly, whether it's every 2 months, once a quarter, conversations about, are we moving the ball down the field? But nobody can come in and be like, I'm going to close $6 million worth of business for your machine shop, your injection molder, your industrial automation company. I'm bringing $6 million worth of opportunities within 60 days. Not going to happen. Anybody that says that, they don't know your industry, and you should probably run from them. So I think that is, do we have any more questions, Nick? We got one more. He's pulling it in now. If you guys like this, hit those thumbs on LinkedIn. If you guys are coming from LinkedIn, we appreciate all the love. We appreciate you guys joining us and spending your time. I mean, it's all about your time is super valuable to yourself. And we appreciate, even if it's 2 people coming in here spending 6 minutes, I appreciate you guys spending the time with us on this every single week. For those of you that are new, we go live twice a week. Mondays are now Q&A, and Wednesdays are about sales and marketing. And we're constantly changing based on the feedback we get, based on the market, based on new things that are coming through. We adjust our schedule and shift our focus based on that. So if you guys have, if there's like, hey, I want you to talk about this on the next episode, feel free to leave those in the comments section. We see them and we appreciate that. All right, next question. Our fairly small manufacturing firm really needs to hire some floor personnel. How can we go about increasing awareness to job seekers? So those of you that are in industrial manufacturing know that like the job market tanked and you can't find work. I mean, we've got numerous clients that have 40 to 60 job postings out there, and they just can't find anybody. And so the best way to do it is you have to focus on your brand, I would say, and try and create some sort of content to make yourself stand out against everybody else. So usually industrial companies aren't just like a single industrial company and no other industrial companies within like 40 miles of that industrial company, right? Usually it's an industrial park. It's in a part of a city that's more friendly to industrial companies manufacturing. So there's competition. All those other people, even though you're not competing with them for business, you're competing with them from an employer standpoint and employees. And so you have to look at what type of packages are they offering? What is the rate that they're paying people? And then look at how are you different? What are you going to offer them that's different? And how are you getting attention around yourself? Are you guys creating videos? Are you guys making videos about the job? Are you guys doing pictures? Are you guys doing like Q&As? Are you guys going live on social and trying to focus on like the Facebook group? If you're looking at like the operator level people, focusing on Facebook, running Facebook ads, things like that. But you have to have something to advertise. So it can't just be like words or a job posting. You have to create graphics, or you have to create a job image or a video. Ideally, what we've been doing a lot of is creating hiring videos for our customers, and also videos about like, this person's a fork truck driver. We're going to interview them. About what they do, and then we're going to show B-roll footage of them doing their job. That at least gets somebody to say like, oh, you know, that seems cool. Instead of reading through a long description of the job post, they're actually seeing something. That's going to hit the market a lot harder, because a lot of companies aren't doing that, which then makes you stand out. And so you can find some local production company to shoot those videos, or you can shoot them yourself. They do not have to be super fancy, but doing something to stand out is the only way to get attention. And you have to look at it from the standpoint like getting new employees is no different than getting new customers, right? The strategy should be the same. You have to talk about why you're different. You have to talk about the benefits and the value proposition that you have as an employer. And you have to show something different than everybody else and be loud in the marketplace. Because like I said, all your competition is the other businesses around you that have similar type of jobs. You're trying to get the attention of that small group of people and you want them to come to you. You better be loud and you better show something that's cool. So I think we're going to take a quick break right now, and then we'll come back and see if there's any more questions that came through. So we'll be right back. What if they don't currently have a problem with a process or system? Will the approach still be effective? If they don't have a problem, man, you can't solve it. So if you go into a sales call and you're like, hey, I want to talk to you about X, Y, and Z. You guys have any issues with it? They're like, nope. Don't sell the unsellable. Is homepage content the most important? So that brings up a good point. What you need to look at in your Google Analytics is your top landed pages. And the top landed pages are what page do people first see? And we always look at the top 10. And so is homepage usually the first of the top 10 landed on pages? Yes, it is usually. But it typically only represents no more than 50% of the total traffic that lands on that page first. Is only about 50% go to the homepage. 30, 45 minutes a day working on building out your network. And then I would spend 30 to 45 minutes a day engaging with your network. Assuming that you have deals already in the pipeline, current customers, you have meetings during the week, stuff like that, where it's pulling out your time to where you only have a few hours left over, then that's how I'd split it. Half your time focused on building your network, the other half of the time focused on engaging. All right, guys, we are back after that short break. Hopefully you like those videos that Nick puts together for us. I think that they are pretty dope. Let's see if there's any new questions. It looks like we got one new question that came through from Douglas Brownfield. What's up, Doug? How can you target and communicate to a narrowly defined market or industry on LinkedIn? That's a great question, Doug. Hopefully I can call you Doug. So that's part of the issue with LinkedIn is their industry classifications, right? So like SIC codes and NICS codes, when you come to like databases, you can get extremely strategic and focused. But LinkedIn, they've got 150 different categories. And so everybody kind of has to fit within that mold. So the way that I would say is you're going to have to be a little bit more strategic about how you're going about doing it. So some filters that you can use on LinkedIn Sales Navigator would first be the industry. And if you're like, dude, I don't know what industry they're in, try and find companies that are current customers or people that you know that you're trying to hunt. Look them up on LinkedIn, normal LinkedIn, not Sales Navigator, although you probably could do Sales Navigator. Look them up on LinkedIn and look at what is their company page classified under for an industry. It should be little text below their company name. Build out that list because you might see people that you would think would be in mining and metals or aerospace and they're not. They're actually in telecommunications or something like that. So start to try and map and reverse engineer it based on who you already know is in the space. If you can find a commonality within industries, then definitely the first thing to filter on is with industries. Obviously, geographic should be number 2 or number 1, but focus on the geography. Are they in the US? Are they in a specific state? Are they in a specific region or outside of a specific city? Then go under the industries. After you get into the industries, then you can go into company size. So you kind of got to understand and know who you're going after. So company size could be maybe you're going 11 to, I think it's like 11 to 50 employees or 51 to 100 employees. Filtering down with that is also a good way. And then getting into the job function and the seniority and things like that to find the specific people. But for the most part, you got to go into it and like, all right, I've got 50 companies, 100 companies. I know these are current customers, past customers. These are people that I'm actively prospecting. I know that they would use our stuff. How can I figure out some sort of category or some ways to filter this? And you have to just use that information, throw it into LinkedIn, see the commonalities, see if you can map the perfect customer at least to a certain degree. And then you got to go about and do it. Now, if you really want to be super strategic and you're like, I'm doing account-based marketing, I don't want to talk to anybody that I know that doesn't have a need for what it is that I'm selling. You have to keep one thing in mind. You can do all the research. You can go to their website. You can understand what the product is that they make, and you maybe you'll look at it and say, I know that they don't use my services. They don't use something that I'm selling. You don't really know 100%, right? You know, like 90%, unless you know for a fact because you've sold in this industry for 20 years and you were just in there a year ago or 3 years ago and you tried to sell them and they said, no, we don't use that. That's all outsourced, or no, we don't have a need. None of that's done in house. Then you can get closer to 100%. But even still, stuff changes every day in industrial and manufacturing. So like 2 weeks later, they could be like, oh yeah, we bought somebody and now we have a need. So you have to understand, like, timing is everything. But unless you literally have talked to them, you cannot cross them off the list. But you can in Sales Navigator, once you do those filtered searches, look at the accounts, change it to the accounts tab instead of the leads tab. Look at those companies, go through them with a fine tooth comb, try and make a list of 100, add them in Sales Navigator. If you have it, it's only $79 a month. You really need it to do this stuff. So hopefully you already have it, but put them into a lead list on accounts and see if you can, like, when you find the account name on Sales Navigator, it's not only telling you a description about them, but it's also links to their website, how many people work at the business, all that stuff. So you can do a little bit of research before you say, yes, I want to go after this person as a prospect. So hopefully that helps, Douglas. If it didn't, and I totally did not answer your question clear enough, then send a follow-up and we will get it answered. Nick's over there laughing. Brian Swanson, our company is a small family office. We acquire and build B2B manufacturing companies. Okay. What is the best way to create a flow of business owners that may want to sell and who fit our profile? Okay. So you guys are buying companies and you're looking to blow them up, and I'm assuming eventually flip them, right, and sell them for a profit. We've worked with private equity groups like that in the past. So to answer your question, what's the best way to create a flow of business owners that may want to sell? You have to make yourself known. Like no manufacturing industrial business owner is going to go out there and be like, hey guys, I'm looking to sell, right? You know that. Otherwise that would make it so much easier. But you have to create enough noise in the space where they're paying attention to about what it is that you do. So if you only work in this niche, this is the niche that we work in, so I know this well. Talk only about what you're doing, helping business owners every single day. Post it on LinkedIn company page, share it through your personal profile, connect with business owners. When you send the connection request to them, say, hey, look, we work with industrial companies that eventually want to bring in more capital or sell their business, are looking for a partner to help them build it using capital that we raise. Would love to connect with you. Like a manufacturing business owner, especially for the most part, they're in their later stages of their life. Like we're still in that time where most business owners in industrial these days are still in like the 55 plus range. And I'm going to say most. I don't need anybody saying like, no, it's not. Like I know people that are in their 40s. For the most part, they're 55 plus. They may not have an exit strategy. They may not have thought about it because they can't see any further past than their immediate fires. So it's not like they won't accept a connection request from you. You're not like, they also would not say, yes, I'm looking to sell usually, because they're protective over that information. They have a private company, as I'm sure you've dealt with. So I would say the best way to do it is use LinkedIn. Go to my YouTube channel and look at the LinkedIn playlist where we're talking about company page growth and how to prospect and using Sales Navigator and sending connection requests and all about the algorithm and all that stuff that's on there. I break it all down, and we've done a couple lives about it too. Even a tutorial we've got on my YouTube channel where I walk through how to build a prospect list using Sales Navigator live with a screen share. It was like a 45-minute live or something like that. But that's what you're going to want to do. You're going to build out your network with presidents, CEOs, owners of industrial companies. You're going to want to create content on a consistent, regular basis about what it is that you guys do. And you're going to want to send that content to them to provide some sort of value. And the content needs to be valuable. You can't just go into it like, hey, look, we buy companies like yours. Are you looking to sell? Does that work sometimes? Probably. But like I get messages all the time like that saying like, hey, we buy agencies. Do you want to sell? Like I would never engage with somebody like that. Sometimes it would work. But for the most part, you need to talk about why you're different and talk about the problems that they deal with and how you guys alleviate those problems. Like use case studies, examples, talk the talk about their industry, use the same terminology, use the language that they use to be relevant in the space, and then talk about how you only serve this niche and what you're looking to do is X, Y, and Z. So hopefully that helps, Brian. If it didn't, in 47 seconds, I will see your question if you just typed it and sent it because of the LinkedIn delay. But like there's riches and niches. Somebody wise said that. I feel like a lot of people have said that. I heard that years ago, like a decade ago. And so for you, Brian, like we've talked to other companies that are bigger than you guys before. We've worked with companies like that to help them strategically get people in there and acquire them, and then blow up those businesses and do whatever you want with them, and take them to the roof, and then whatever it is, whether you sell them off, whether you keep them. But like you have to be strategic and focused on that niche. You have to create valuable content, even if something like we've talked to every company we talk to has these main pain points in their industry, and here's how we help fix that. Or if they don't have the exit strategy, or if they don't have a second generation that's interested in getting into industrial, because a lot of the younger generations aren't interested in it. Those are conversations you can have. Those are things that you can post. If you're running into these problems, then here's something that we've done to help companies. That's valuable information, and the industrial people know that they're not alone. Like this is a common issue. And if you are their savior, then that's a great situation to be in. And then also engaging with people that live in this space. Like we only live in industrial space. So most of my connections, I say 85%, 90% of my connections on LinkedIn are in the industrial manufacturing space. So engaging, like you being here in this live, somebody's going to see this and be like, hey, I'm looking to sell my company. I'm going to reach out to Brian. Right. So like engaging with the network, you can't just build a network to try and sell to them. You have to engage after you create the content, go to people's posts, like it, but be strategic, right? You're not trying to go after like this head of sales. You're trying to go after the owners and the CEO. So hopefully that helps. I think that's it for now. Brian and Douglas, hopefully you guys don't send any questions in after we close this out. But if you do, then we will answer them on next week's show. So guys, as always, we're here every single week. We're here twice a week. Mondays, we're talking about Q&A. If you have questions that you would like answered on the show, you can shoot them over to askkyle@mfgtribe.com, or just participate, join the show. It's noon every Monday, and ask your questions in the comment. As always, we appreciate the attention and you guys taking the time out of your day to visit the channel and visit the live. I'm totally butchering this exit, aren't I, Nick? This is like horrible. But as always, go to the YouTube channel, guys. I've got over 200 videos. All the content you need about industrial marketing, technical sales is on the YouTube channel. Subscribe to it, please. Turn on notifications. Follow me on LinkedIn and pay attention twice a week, going live at noon. And we will see you on the next one.